We got everything calibrated. We're gonna start cutting. Hi everybody, today we're making Klaus from American Dad, a sign from the show. When we're all done, it should look something like this. So you can see it's just going over the Klaus right there. We're trying to get a lot of detail in there. So what I'm doing is I'm just having to go over the passes multiple times. That way I'm not having to do as much sanding, but now you can see it's starting to remove some of the other material out of the body of Klaus. There we go, we're starting to get that bigger section out. And then slowly just working its way with the raster cut, just clearing it as much as it can. And basically we're just going to keep doing this and get all that material out of there. And what we're going to do is be making a 6-inch by 12-inch sign with Klaus. So we just started on his body, and we're just getting a lot of that extra material out of there right now. Nice clean cuts. And we're going to start probably working on the bowl next of Klaus's body. Once it finishes up cleaning up that area there. And there we go, we're getting some more material out of there. Just keep cutting away. And then we should be finishing up Klaus right now. Hopefully we start working on the other areas. Like I said, it's going through it multiple times just to make sure we get a nice fine surface on the cutout areas. There we go, we're clearing out there. More of the head. Slowly working our way through it. There we go for the eyes now. Those lifeless eyes. This is a 1/8 inch end over around, end mill bit with a down cut. So this will be our biggest bit we use, and this is to get out most of the material. And then we'll transition to a 1/16 inch bit, and then a 1mm bit to get some of the finer stuff. I don't know about who's on the stream, but Thanksgiving's coming up. The United States, getting excited to eat some food and drink some good beer and watch some football. And now we're going to start working on the bowl. You see, it's just taking a little bit at a time just to make sure we don't stress the bit too much. I think my depth of cut right now is a 1/10 of an inch, or maybe 2/10. And I think I have a step over around 15%, 12.5. And if everybody's looking for a gift for the holidays, I sell these signs on Etsy. I made one of Roger. I got this one of Klaus. I'm doing some more. Also got some Pokemon. If you like to show tires, chair company. I got a lot of signs for different things. Oops, sorry. So yeah, we're just slowly taking it down. Thanks, Katie. Yeah, it's something I've been doing. I got into CNC woodworking a couple years ago. It's kind of fun. Get to do a lot of different things. So when the sign's all said and done, we're gonna look something like this. We're slowly just starting, so we're working on Klaus right now, and then we'll get some smaller bits to do the rest of the text there. You can do human portraits. It takes a little bit of manipulation and software. I haven't gone that far yet. I've done a lot of manipulations of like images that I downloaded, and you have to create your vectors. That's one of the things I'm looking at doing, but right now I'm kind of focusing on this. But yeah, it's something I definitely want to try. So the software I'm using, or my G-Sender, or my G-Code sender is G-Sender here. So you can see there's the model that I'm creating right now. And you can see that little bit, that's the drill bit. And those blue lines are the cuts it's got to make. So we're going over the material. We got about 3 minutes left for this bit. We got the tail left. And then we got a couple other files to go ahead and finish for it. So I designed this up in Carveco, which is the CNC software to do your designs. And your G-Sender is what takes that code you export, and then you basically give it to your CNC machine to make. You can definitely speed this up, but you lose a lot of the detail. It takes a lot of work when you're done to sand it down, get a lot of the wooden burrs out of there. So I like to get a lot of detail with it. See, it's working on the outline of the bubbles. So we got another minute and a half left on this cut profile. And then we're going to cut the outline of the sign and clouse with this bit. And then once we're done with that, we're going to switch over to a 16th inch end mill bit. And then we're going to get a lot of the detail that this 1/8 inch couldn't get. So you can see it's just slowly going over it, clearing out what it needs to. The wood I'm using is pine. I have it pine wood stained Kona brown to get that two-tone look. You can use all sorts of woods. Pine's easier to work with just because it's cheap and plentiful, and it's a softer wood, so it doesn't stress out too much or stress a bit too much. You can be a little more aggressive with your cut settings versus, say, like hard maple or walnut. Just a little more cleaning up on it. And then we'll go ahead and load in our profile. My enclosure gets a little dirty just with all the crap on the screen from the wood chips. So once I get done with this profile, I'll go wipe off the glass there to make it a little easier to see. So we're done with clouse, so now what I'm going to do is load in our profile. 1/8 inch profile, same bit. We'll start it up. And we're going to cut the outline of the sign right now, and I believe it's going to do 3 passes to get the outline. So you'll see here, once it gets to this point there, it's going to drop the bit down just a little bit. There we go. And then it's going to the next layer. Let me see if I can wipe my screen off just a little bit. Little loud, sorry about that. And I believe we have one more pass coming up, so right about there is when we're going to drop it down one last time. And it's going to slowly ramp down right about now. There it goes. So now we're at our 3/4 inch depth. And that's going to cut out this material, or the sign from the material that we're using. So after this, it's going to do a quick little outline of Klaus. It's going to look like it's not really cutting anything, but we'll have one last pass where it'll go around Klaus himself and get an outline of him, and then we'll move on to the text. Hi, Creative Gamer. Alright, so right here will be our last pass. It's going to lift up, and then it's going to go to Klaus and do an outline. Again, it's not looking like it's going to cut anything here. I think it's just to try to get if there's any material higher than it expects. Again, I don't know why the software picked to do that for this, but it's not really cutting much. So you can see it's cutting a little bit right up top there. but we'll run it through one last time to really get that detail and outline of Klaus. Alright, so it's done, but we'll come back to the software here. It's letting us know our job is complete for this profile. So we'll close that. We'll load in our next file, which is our 1/8 inch profile last pass. You can see it's going to go over Klaus one more time and then go with the outline just to get a little more detail. So we'll start the job. Same bit. And what this is doing is kind of just one last pass on the perimeter or the outline. And that's just to smoothen up the cut so there's not a lot of sanding that I'll need to do. And then here's where we will cut the outline of Klaus. Do one last little pass there. And then here we go. So that is our profile. Now what we can do is switch over this bit, so we'll turn off our router. And now we're gonna swap out this 1/8 inch end mill bit with a 1/16 inch end mill bit. So I gotta figure out where I put them, but we'll open up our enclosure. You see Klaus there, nice little detail. And now we'll have to finish it up and clean it with a 1/16 inch bit. So we'll have our 1/16 inch end mill bits. We'll get those out. Tiny little guys here. And we'll go ahead and take off our 1/8 inch end mill bit. So we take our open-ended wrenches, one end here, one end there. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. So this is the bit we just used. This is our 1/8 inch end mill bit. Sorry for the lighting, not the greatest right now. Let me throw this up here and see if that. Yeah, so our 1/8 inch end mill bit. And then our 1/16 inch, which is just half the size. So we'll go ahead and put that 1/16 inch in there. So we'll do the same way, just in reverse steps. Place it into our router. And then get it tightened down. Now, from a XYZ coordinate standpoint, our X and Y will be the exact same. We don't want to change that, but because we changed the bit, our Z coordinate has changed because now the height of that bit is not the same as it was for the 1/4 or the 1/8 inch bit. So we'll have to calibrate this. So to do that, we take our Z probe, and what we're going to do is basically complete a circuit. So we're going to put the alligator clip to the bit, and we're going to leave this on our surface. Our software knows how high this is, so when it contacts it, it's going to complete that circuit and know exactly how high off our material the bit is. So we're going to go ahead, get our probe initialized, and what I like to do is keep it in the same location where I started. So I'm going to offset this by 20 millimeters in X and Y, and then get that probe. Again, you have to touch it to initialize it. We have it on our surface. Now I'm gonna start the Z probe. It's gonna drop down and touch a plate, come back up and touch it again for a last calibration. So you can see it's slowly dropping down. And it's gonna touch that plate. Unless I was too high off the material. It does time out if you're too high, and it did that time, so it didn't recognize it. So I'm going to have to correct that one more time. So we'll just do that right here. That's still good. Start the probe. Drops down, touches the plate. And now it's going to touch it again for the calibration. Okay. We are calibrated. Good to go. And we're going to load in our file. We'll load in our 16th inch end mill file. So here you're going to see we're going to get a lot of that text. So we'll go ahead and close the door without knocking over the camera. And I'll clean that screen too, so I don't have this garbage in the way. Start our router, turn her on, close the door, and we'll go ahead and start cutting. Oops. Uh-oh. Oh, let me just reset something here. Just 1 second. Oops. One second.